Hey guys, welcome to Thrive Live. My name is Darcy and I am live from the studio here at Thrive Mortgage, and we are so glad that you guys have tuned in for our second broadcast. So just a reminder, today we are going to give you a summary of what's currently happening in the mortgage industry. We're going to kind of make some good connections on what that means for you as an industry professional or as a consumer. And then we're going to open it up to your questions in the chat. So be thinking about what you'd like to ask our industry expert today. We are super excited to have an industry expert with us, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to him to give you guys the news.
Thanks, Darcy. I'm James Duncan, Director of Marketing and Engagement for Thrive Mortgage, and glad to be back on the second iteration of Thrive Live. This is pretty fun. But basically, if you follow the real estate industry at all, you know that there's a lot of turmoil going on depending on which news outlets you follow or which ones you read. The bottom line is, rates have gone up, and clearly we're not in the same position that we were in this time last year. But a lot of folks are taking that or concluding that basically that means that they shouldn't be looking for a house, or they shouldn't be looking to buy, or they shouldn't be looking to make moves or anything like that. Well, I would counter to that by saying it depends. I mean, that was kind of my response to a lot of the questions that got asked last week as well. But it truly does. It really does depend on what your situation is, what your unique financial situation is, and ultimately what your long-term goals are. In my personal opinion, maybe I'm a little bit biased in this because I'm in this industry, but in my personal opinion, it's always a good time to invest in real estate, no matter what it is that you're looking to do. Whether or not it's right for you to do it right now, again, that depends on your personal situation. But what is always a good thing to do is have a conversation with a real estate professional, whether it's a realtor that you know and trust or have worked with in the past, or a mortgage loan originator who has the expert knowledge to advise you on the various different things that you can expect, various different advantages or disadvantages, taking into consideration your financial situation and your long-term goals. That is always something that is very, very smart to do. One of the things that we continually recommend to clients, and also we coach this into all of our loan officers, is that everybody should be doing, especially if you're an existing homeowner, you should be doing an annual mortgage review every single year on or around the anniversary date of when you first closed on your home. If the loan officer that you worked with previously to purchase the home that you're in is not offering to do that for you, or they're just not doing that for you at all, then it's time to find a new loan officer, and it's time to find somebody who is going to take the time to really invest into looking over your current mortgage statement, seeing where you're at, talking to you about those priorities, and then figuring out a strategy for whether or not you're in a good spot now and you should stay there, or if there are certain moves that you can make that might benefit you down the road. So the bottom line is, we obviously, as Darcy mentioned, we like to keep these broadcasts short. There's a lot of different news articles and other announcements that are being made, and other things out there in the media that you might be reading or seeing, and we're happy to address those. So make sure that you pop anything that you've read, anything you've got questions about. Make sure you're popping those into the questions or comments, and we'll address those live. But the bottom line, Darcy, really is that things are not as bad as a lot of the media would like for us to believe. Most of the time, those articles and those headlines that they're putting out there are really just clickbait, just to try and get you to click on it and give them another little piece of engagement. The bottom line is this: so things are not as bad as a lot of people would have you believe. Yes, there's an inventory shortage. Yes, affordability is absolutely one of the more critical issues, but those are actually the more critical issues than what's going on with the interest rate environment. So one of the things that I like to coach any clients that I work with, and also make sure that our loan officers understand, is that rate is not the end-all be-all determinant of whether or not you got the right mortgage. There are times, it's a pretty common refrain in our industry that there are times when the wrong loan program with a lower rate is more costly for you in the long run than the right mortgage strategy with a slightly higher rate is right now. So it's really going to take meeting with a trusted mortgage loan advisor who knows all the ins and outs of the various different programs and knowing what's out there. and being able to having them being able to advise you on what's the most critical thing that you need to be considering right now for yourself. So that's I know it's kind of generic, but that's a pretty good synopsis for what's going on and just kind of the perspective that you need to have on what's going on in the mortgage industry right now. So, Darcy, I know that you had some resources, some things that you were reading through. Was there anything in particular that really jumped out at you?
Yeah, I just think, when you hear the doom and gloom of the reports, and that just seems to be what is on all the headlines day in and day out right now for this for the industry. If I'm a professional in the industry, what do I do with that information? I mean, I know we can sit here and say, like, we don't believe that, that means to not buy a house right now or to not invest, right? But I'm sure there are different strategies and different questions that you can look at, and like you were just stating, different loan programs. And so what can you say to folks in the industry right now, whether it's a realtor or a loan officer, what can they be doing to better serve their clients?
That's an excellent question. To anybody who's in the industry, I would recommend that number one, you take your past client database and you really double down on. I don't want to use the term farming, but you really double down on communicating with that database, whether it's through your CRM or through just the old-fashioned picking up the phone and making some phone calls, and just seeing how they're doing, how they're faring, seeing if they have any questions about what's going on, any questions about the value of their home, any questions about whether or not their mortgage strategy is sound. Just having those continual follow-up conversations with your past and existing clients, and making sure that they don't have any questions that maybe they just don't know what to ask or how to ask it or who to ask it of. Make yourself available to them to answer those questions. And the other opportunity that comes from that is being able to ask them for referrals, especially with the clients who had a fantastic relationship with you. I actually made a post last night on LinkedIn that I got a lot of feedback from some folks about it. But a situation arose where one of our loan officers was approached by a realtor who wanted to offer this loan officer the opportunity to subscribe on a monthly basis to having full access to this particular realtor's database. Well, not only is that a massive RESPA violation, but it is a huge breach of the trust that those clients placed in that realtor in doing business with them in the past. So that realtor is actually doing them a disservice by doing this. Now, the realtor might come back and say, "No, I'm not paying for referrals or having somebody give me money in exchange for referrals," even though it's exactly what they're doing. But they might couch it as like, "I'm giving another loan officer opportunity to access the names and contact information of people I've worked with in the past. I'm not going to have anything to do with the transaction." Well, that's even worse. Because as a realtor and as a loan officer, we have fiduciary responsibilities and an obligation to make sure that we are maintaining the privacy of our clients' data and not selling those lists to the highest bidder. So that's even worse of a violation because it is a breach of trust. And if you are the kind of professional who's thinking, "Well, I haven't closed a deal in a long time. I just need a way to make my ends meet," then that's the wrong way to go about doing it. And you really need to consider a different career if that's the kind of mentality that you're going to have. But to those of you who are out there doing things the right way, then you really should double down on marketing to and communicating with your existing database. That is usually where you're going to find a lot of hidden opportunities. Instead of trying to go out and acquire new clients and paying for lead generation strategies that don't work, going out and paying for leads that have already been contacted by 10 other lenders, don't go that route. Don't waste your money and time and energies on fruitless endeavors. What you should do is start with what you've got in hand right now, and that is a community of people that already know you. Second thing, I think that you all need to be doubling down on educating your clients using social media, which is exactly what we're trying to do right here. Now, you don't need a fancy studio setup like what we got here. Just your phone that you carry around, and you probably have it in your hand. You might even be watching this video with that device in your hand right now. When this is done, record a quick video and send that and blast that out to your networks. If you're a loan officer, blast it out to your realtors. If you're a realtor, blast it out to your clients and the loan officers that you work with, and tell them what's going on in the market from your perspective. Constant communication is going to be one of the best ways for you to stay on top. And when things do turn, maybe when rates, whether it's rates drop or inventory reaches normal levels again, no matter what happens in the future, you'll be sitting pretty and be prepared for the turn of the market. And people will see you, because you've been constantly communicating with them. People will see you as a trusted advisor, and they're going to think of you first when they think of who they need to call.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of reports are stating that consumers are wanting to be educated. That's what they're looking for. They want to understand what's going on, what all the news reports mean for them and for the real estate they currently own or potentially want to own. Some people have to move right now. It's not a choice. And so they're worried. And so they're looking to us as industry professionals to guide them and lead them through the process and educate them, and they're wanting that. So take advantage of it. It's kind of the tools in your tool belt, if you will, customer service and knowing the different programs and loans and different things out there that you can access to help your customers meet their goals.
Yes.
So very good. Well, thank you so much for your update, and thank you guys for joining us today. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and put them in the chat. We're going to wrap up our session today because I want to honor your time and told you guys we're going to do this really quickly. If you have questions, we will get back to you. Just drop them in the comments. You can always reach us at Thrive Mortgage, www.thrivemortgage.com, and somebody here will reach out to you and answer your questions, or you can set up an appointment to talk to a loan officer about your financial goals and ask those questions that we've been talking about today on Thrive Live. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you can be notified when we go live and drop new content, you guys. We are adding information to our YouTube channel to help you with that education as well, so you can tap into that as a great resource. Thanks so much. And from James and I just want to say, alone we dream, but together we thrive. See you guys next week. Bye.